she obviously has to keep on producing more and more things in order to get attention. Because if she just released more jam, I guess we wouldn't bother to talk about it. It's very, very hard to know what to say, really. I mean, she warned us in the talk with Emma Gride the other day that, she was going to be doing all sorts of different things and, even coming out of the kitchen and going into the drawing room or into the world of fashion or goodness knows what. So I guess this is just the latest thing. If you like rosé wine, you probably find that you've got a particular one that you like, and I'm not. I must admit, I wouldn't be tempted to go for hers. I don't know how hers is going to be so different from anybody else's, or it's probably going to be more expensive because it has a sort of brand on it. So I really, again, find it quite difficult to know what to say. But I guess that she will keep doing more and more things like this. I mean, this is the world into which she's gone. And the other day she was telling us that you win by failing. Apparently, did you hear that one the other day? That was quite interesting.
No.
Every failure is really a win because then you learn by it. Well, she must have been doing an awful lot of winning recently because quite a lot of the things that she's done have not been wildly successful. Obviously, I'm in no position to judge how well her wine is going to do. The other question is how is hers going to be different from somebody else's? And you see, if you go out into a competitive market like that, I mean, the reason that you and me aren't making rosé is because we don't know how to get into that market, and we don't think we do very well at it, probably. So, somebody may well say, well, this rosé is exactly identical to another brand of rosé, and then she'll get into trouble. That sort of thing has already been happening a few times, as you know, when people have said that she's just sort of stuck her name onto their idea. And of course, that can also, to be fair, that can happen accidentally because two people can more or less invent the same thing and discover that somebody else has already done it, and then you're sort of getting onto their territory, and that's always rather difficult. You've got to be jolly careful because if you start just sort of taking other people's products and putting your name on it, I'm not saying that she's absolutely exactly done that, but if you do something, even by accident, then you're going to get into trouble because people who are less successful, who selling more or less the same thing and seeing, it going out under her name, they won't like it. That definitely they won't. I don't think she's as successful as Emma Gride, for example, who's obviously a highly talented and very entrepreneurial woman who's, risen from nothing, so it seems, into a world where she's doing enormously well. But I think you do better actually by winning than failing, but I could be wrong. The other thing she said in that program, of course, was that she thought that her 15-year-old self would be immensely proud of her present day self. Well, and she also said that she hoped that people would start telling the truth about her. Well, I think we try to tell the truth about her. I think that's rather a dangerous thing to ask because, people are telling the truth. What she, of course, means by that is the truth as she sees it, not as we see it, probably. And so, that's the world she's in now. And as you know very well, we wouldn't be interested in her if she hadn't married Prince Harry, because the fact that she's married Prince Harry gives it a kind of a soap opera element, which would otherwise be lacking. Because, as you say, there are numerous other celebrities launching products, and you see them here and there, and you may be interested in them. You may like the star who's put their name to it, and you might buy it for that reason. Who knows? But actually, I think those things are probably best avoided and get onto the real stuff, from a proper vineyard. You've got to kind of keep going out into the market and you've got to keep pushing ideas forward. And if one of them takes off, so be it. That's good. I'm sure there are quite a lot of, companies. I mean, maybe even sort of Coca-Cola had a different one that sort of slipped by the wayside years ago, and that one went forward. You never know. But yeah, I think that does sound sensible. I mean, what's just really kind of rather sickening, really, is this whole, endlessly creating more and more stories and endlessly more and more directions and more people involved and one thing after the other. And I just wonder how much substance there is there. But I could be wrong. I mean, see, the other thing is she does have an enormous number of followers, as you know. And so if they all have a go and buy a bottle of rosé, she'll probably do rather well. the Queen gave them the whole of the Commonwealth to explore, and where they would have been putting things in, where there would have been a system in place, where they could have done an enormous amount of good. And they were both seemingly committed to it, but they decided to take a different path. I mean, that's what's so sad. I mean, it's the difference between a life of service and taking things, going to the commercial world and trying to, get money from people because they're buying your product. I mean, that's completely different. And that's always, I think, going to be the problem. So eventually, if she's not careful, she will run out of steam at some point because what how fickle the media are, and how eventually they get bored with people. And I mean, lots of very, very famous people have disappeared into the ether over the years. The trend does seem to be not attacking the royal family particularly. As you know, any stray or random remark that can be interpreted as attacking them will be landed at her door. I don't think that strategy proved very effective. I think it put a lot of people off, and so now I think she is doing different things, and she's trying to, to be a businesswoman. If you listen to the Emma Gride talk the other day, I mean, she can come out with a lot of sort of kind of business talk, the sort of things that people going into business talk about. I don't know whether it's sound or not, but she's obviously, that's obviously the next step. And so therefore, she's lucky, as you say, that if she decides to go into the rosé wine market, we'll be talking about it.